Welcome to all of you astrology lovers, and welcome to another video with me, Veerle. And I've been asked so many times, Veerle, please can you give me a bit of how of an insight of how you work with us, if we order a reading with you, what can we expect from the reading? What can we not expect from the reading? How does it look like? And how does it work? So I'm going to be trying to do that. I've been postponing it because I didn't know how to do it. There's something like privacy, and I don't want to expose people that I work with. So I thought maybe I have to do it someone who is known. But on the other hand, I'm not that interested to do that either, because people idealize people who are stars or in the showbiz and whatever. And I thought, yeah, people always have a certain perception of what they want to see instead of the truth and what is there. So, and whilst I was getting a lot of that questions during that period of time a week ago, I was invited to a one-man show of Otto-Jan Ham, and here in Ghent, in my hometown, and I was very inspired. I enjoyed it so much. I enjoyed the topic very much. It was about friendships and so on. And I thought, what on earth? Because I don't know that man, of course. And the only thing that I do know is that he is a radio presenter, or he did that in the past, and he did some shows on television. And I thought he seemed to be a rather shy guy, because when you do the radio, it seems like you don't want to be seen and you just want to do your thing. And I had that when he was doing for the first time the one-man show. I was wondering, how on earth do you make that leap of standing there in front of people? And so that's why I thought, let's jump into his chart and have a look. And there was so inspired to do a chart of someone he's not that well known. I don't even think that I would recognize him when he would walk in the street. He has a bit that energy of Jenny from the Block. I know it's not a Jenny, but that song Jenny from the Block. So that personality that is quite ordinary, but at the same time, when you look at his chart, it's a rather complex personality. And to explain something on YouTube about astrology, I need a complex chart. I need that, because otherwise I would have, in 10 minutes and I'm done. And that's not the case with this chart. So I have two goals here with this YouTube little video here. First of all, I have a goal to say what my intention is when I do a reading, what people can expect from me, and how they see how I work. And secondly, the goal is that why astrology is here. You can do whatever you want with it. I mean, it's for everyone. It's different. But let's get started. First of all, why am I an astrologer, or why do I do astrology? Although my background is very rational, I have a master in economics, and it seems like crazy. If you have a master in economics, why would you do astrology, right? That is something like, I thought even, it's always been a hobby of me, and I thought that it was quite, wishy. But it's not. And my goal with astrology, and also towards the people that I work with, I've been doing this since 2012 quite intensely, and since I had my YouTube channel. And I must say, if people would come back to me with feedback like, Veerle, what the hell are you doing? Or Veerle, this is not right at all, I would have stopped. I mean, my ego is big, but not that big. I would have stopped. I would have said, this doesn't help people. So my intention is to help people with what? With getting to know themselves, with the truth of who they are. And I had a question of my son the other day. He's 16 years old, and he's in the midst of puberty. And he asked me that question, but Mom, why are you doing astrology? I mean, he doesn't believe in it at all, which is fine, which gives some great discussions around dinner time. And but he asked me, why are you doing it? And I said, to know yourself better. He said, and then what? But the thing is, when you know yourself better, you can make better choices, and you make your life way easier. So astrology is, I seldomly use it as a predictive tool. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna give a tiny little prediction here, just a tiny little one. But mind you that I don't even know his time of birth, so it's not even correct. So I mean, it's more for entertainment matters than what else, that I'm doing this. So mind you, when I'm giving that little prediction there, because it's not accurate at all if you don't have the timing. But the energy, even if you don't know the timing of someone, the energy is there. The energy can be explained very general. But why? Why is it interesting if you know yourself better? Well, very simple. It's about acceptance. It's about what I think. If you would ask me, what do I do with my astrology? My goal is that other people accept themselves, first of all, better. And accepting the reality around them. And of course, accepting nice things isn't easy, as always. But mostly it is. Accepting raw reality that is very... that is hard and harsh in life, that's another question. And it's about that, because people come to me mostly with problems or topics or situations that are hard to deal with. So what I'm actually doing through the astrology is acceptance first and foremost. Because you can do two things. Let's say you're an alcoholic. And you don't know yourself that well. You're working in a cafe, for instance, and you're in the midst of the alcohol. So is that a good choice? Not that much. You see what I mean? If you don't know yourself, you make choices that are not maybe the most enjoyable to take. And when you know yourself, you can say, I'm an alcoholic. It probably, I have free will, but it's probably not a good idea for me to work in a cafe and give alcohol to everyone. I mean, we have an expression in Belgium here. I'm going to translate it directly. To put the cat next to the milk is very, very annoying. It's not the best idea. Well, this is putting the cat in the milk, basically. Very weird expression probably for people who are English native speakers, but whatever. The thing is, when you know yourself better, you have more rest and more acceptance, and you can make the best out of your life. So there are astrologers who are very fate oriented, and of course, the more I work with astrology, the more I see that fate is indeed it's something weird, because you see the energies that are upcoming, but what you do with it is very much free will, and that is where I stand for. So, for instance, if I'm seeing in a chart that someone is extremely introvert, and that person, for instance, wants to be on the stage and wants to force him or herself to be a bit more extrovert because mom or dad says so, or because a woman said so, a friend or a man or a colleague, whatever, because people say that this is the best thing for you to do. The thing is, you can do that, but I see this as very harsh towards oneself. Is this about accepting yourself? No, it's actually in being someone else. So it's getting against the nature of the person. And secondly, I rather have a look at, okay, you're introvert. Try to accept it, because there are good things about being an introvert as well. And I will be working towards that. how can you express yourself in an introverted way instead of maybe going on stage, maybe making YouTube channel, because then you don't have to be in front of people when you are a bit shy, for instance. Then you can do a YouTube channel, and so on, etc., etc. So that is what astrology is all about. It won't take away who you are. On the contrary, it's gonna be very blunt. You don't, as an astrologer, you see patterns quickly in an instant. You see a pattern of, for instance, wrong attachment styles, not healthy attachment style, like the runner, the one that runs away for intimacy, or the one that craves too much. You see that immediately in a chart. You don't have to be a psychologist to see that. But I'm not someone who wants to delve into the past. Everyone has trauma in a certain extent. I want to work with the now, and I want to work with, okay, this annoying thing that we're having here, how can we make it work? How can we, if you are someone who's quite restless, for instance, I had the other day someone who was very, very restless. He had Mars with Uranus, which is a man who's got Mars with Uranus will, even if they are 80 years old, they're going to be restless. He has that a bit too. He has the sun with Uranus. To Otto-Jan, that I'm doing the astrology in a minute. So what you can say to this person is, try to do something that you are a bit calm on. No, you can try to find a way and use your imagination and creativity to use that restlessness in a positive way. So what you see a lot with people with Mars Uranus, for instance, is that they are fire people, or they have a job that excites them quite well because they need the excitement in life. Instead of running away of that, you can grasp it and make something positive out of it. So that's in a nutshell. It wasn't a nutshell, was it? But in a nutshell, what I'm trying to do with my work, the pitfalls or the weaknesses, entre parenthèses, the weaknesses of a person, I try to see the good out of it and then work with that. And it works. It really, really works. It depends, of course, of the person. They have to do the work. But I can help a little bit with insight. Then my job is succeeded, I think. Let's get to the astrology. I did a tiny little bit of drawing here with the astrology of Otto-Jan. How do I start, This is a tiny little bit of his chart. I could talk days about a chart, but when you're doing the astrology, you have to focus on what is mostly important. As I don't have the hour, I don't have his rising sign. But already you can see a lot with this. So these are parts of his horoscope. He probably, he's a Scorpio. That means the sun in Scorpio. But he has also very much Sagittarius energy. He has a lot of Gemini energy as well. So people are not just one thing or one personality. They are a mixture. That's why people are so complex, and why things are, that is life. Sometimes people want to be very straightforward. I want to be like this, but not like that. The thing is, people are the ingredients of all these planets. It makes it to us as an individual with complexity and a possibility with our free will to make the most out of it. What hits the eye when you see this kind of astrology? Well, there are a few things that the complexity, that first of all, complexity of what? Of having here a person who is extremely buoyant with the energy of Sagittarians, and he has his moon in Gemini. Gemini is a sign of the journalist, the sign of the curious person, the sign of you can't sit still and you know a bit of everything but nothing in depth. That is a sign of Gemini. And Sagittarius is blunt, it's positive, it's humorous, it's wicked, it's fast, and it has a big heart, so to say, and very generous as well. That's one part. You could say if he would have only this would be quite a person that doesn't go really into the depths of the matter. That will be a person who could be all over the place and nowhere, especially with his Mars in Sagittarius as well, which is Sagittarius is a sign of scattered energy. Your Mars is your energy. So having Mars, the planet of energy in a scattered sign, especially with Neptune, who makes it even more, you go to the left, to the right, that would be someone that is a bit all over the place and a bit of scattered energy. But, and these are mostly people who don't delve in too much into the, let's say, that don't commit themselves at all. But the thing is, so this is very light-hearted energy, very young energy, you know. But he has the Sun in Scorpio, and he has Venus in Scorpio, and Uranus conjunct his Sun in Scorpio. That is a whole other story. So the Sun is about your identity. It's also about, it represents work as well. And Scorpio is a bit the opposite of what I just said. Scorpio is extremely intense. It's extremely deep. It goes to the root of the matter. It's very passionate, and it goes over the top every now and then. It wants to know the edges of life. It goes to the extremes, and this is all a Scorpio energy. So the complexity of this chart is that this is a man that is extremely buoyant and open, very open, and at the same time also very not open, also very hidden, also very deep and sensitive, and emotions, and because it's also his Venus there. Venus is what you feel. This man doesn't feel light, you know, it's all coming in very, you know, hard, so to speak, whether it is positive or negative. And so this along is a very interesting mixture, because even if this would be an IT specialist, or even if he would work in, I don't know, in any other profession, having both of the ability to go deep and to commit yourself, not 100%, but 1,000%, together with that buoyant energy, is quite an interesting mixture. That you don't see that often, you know. Either you are very deep and but you don't have the bigger picture, or either you have the bigger picture and you don't go deep. So that's the first thing that hits the eye in his astrology. Now, a lot of people, when they come into, you know, they come for a reading, they want to know, what's my purpose here? You know, of course, again, we don't have the whole chart, but you can see that in your sun sign, you know, that's your profession, but also with the North Node. And the North Node is in Virgo here. It's somewhere here at the end of Virgo, and the South Node is in Pisces. And he has his Sun together with Uranus. So that's easy to read, the purpose of a person like that. The purpose is innovation. So this person is here to go against the mainstream. So this person knows that he's on the good track when his peers, his colleagues say, what the hell are you doing? Then he's on the good track. I know this sounds weird, but that is with a Uranus person. If you're here with a strong Uranus, so some people are strongly Uranus oriented, other people are strongly Pluto oriented. He's strongly Uranus oriented and Neptunian oriented. I'll talk about that in a minute. But if you're someone who's very strong Uranus person, that means you're here to shake up things. Your path is to innovate and to do not the same thing than other people, and to be a bit of an outsider. And you won't always, you know, people who have this Sun with Uranus or Moon with Uranus or an ascendant with Uranus, they will tell that mostly when they were younger. I don't know his background, by the way. I only know that he's Dutch and that he lives in Belgium. So he's from the Netherlands, lives in Belgium, but I don't know his background. But when you see that as an astrologer, he was probably felt a bit of an outsider with Sun conjunct Uranus. And that is what these people, when they are younger, feel. They will never feel they fit in, you know, even when they are 80, because that's not supposed to be the way, you know, when people. So again, here, if people ask me that question and they have difficulties with it, let's say this is a young person of 20 years old, you could give them the advice of, no, don't try to fit in that much. You know, accept it that you're different. And there's good things about being different, because then you break up paths. You are a bit avant la lettre. Don't know how to translate that, but anyway, it means that you're here to do something out of the ordinary. When he's doing his shows and his television stuff, it's better that he does something that no one ever did before. Then he will be as successful, and he will feel at his best as well. So that's one tiny little bit about the Uranus stuff, and you see that quite often. Again, with people who have a strong Uranus when they were younger, who struggled with that. He also has Mars in a square to Saturn, so that that combination of Mars in a square to Saturn and the Sun Uranus, that is a bit like bullying there, or he would have been the one that bullies, or being bullied when they were younger. You see that quite often, and I think it has to do with he being a foreigner in Belgium. You could say, oh yes, when you are from the Netherlands and you move to Belgium, it's not really that drastic. It is. I mean, I can tell out of experience. I lived with a Dutch guy, for like 21 years. And I didn't understand it in the beginning. What? You being bullied? And he was going to Belgian schools. And he said, Belgian people, they can be tough. I didn't understand that, and that's why he hasn't got an accent because most Dutch people, you hear their accent, and for my boyfriend, you don't hear it, that he's from the Netherlands. And because of that, he wanted to fit in, Maybe, I'm not saying that this happened to Otto-Jan, but maybe that was a thing that he felt. And so this is a pattern that I just talked about, that you see these patterns straight away. And this is quite interesting. Okay. Another thing that is interesting is indeed the most important thing that you talk about in readings is the most challenging part of a horoscope. I'm watching here the timing because I don't want to make it a very long video. So the timing, so the difficulty of one's horoscope is a pattern or some point in the horoscope. And with him, you see the difficulty of the Mars conjunction with Neptune and in a square to Saturn. Probably, we don't know his timing of birth, so probably also with the moon in an opposition. What is all this Latin? This means that his mast is on the one side it's with Neptune, and on the other side it's with Saturn. And this is again very complex because it's totally contradictory. Mars with Saturn is extremely fearful, is extremely fear of doing something wrong. And he talks about his anxiety as well. And so that is a Mars-Saturn thing. And also going over the top is a Sun in Scorpio conjunct Uranus thing. But also so on the one hand, being afraid of doing something is Mars-Saturn. But going over the top and not knowing your boundaries is Mars-Neptune. So he's constantly between those two energies. Also something that you see quite often with people who have a conjunction or an aspect from Mars to Neptune and Mars to Saturn. So what do? Do you run away from yourself? No, you accept it. The first thing is to accept that you are a bit of both and you need to timeshare in your life. That you need responsibility in life, but you also need hopefully healthy escapism, which he probably is doing with the stage thing, which is very Neptunian. People who are so strongly Neptunian, like he is, he's a very strong Neptunian man. You see that quite often in people who are in showbiz because they do something, say something or whatever, and people recognize the thing that they want to recognize, and that's Neptunian. And that's certainly something that is activated at the moment in the whole of 2019. So it's fantastic to do that show that he is doing, although it gives him a bit of insecurity there because that's also Neptune. But it gives him a possibility to express that Neptunian escape kind of energy that he strongly needs in his chart. So again, even when you have a tough aspect like this, there's also always a positive thing to do. You know, people with Mars Neptune, you know, on a negative side, they could just lose themselves in any kind of addiction that you want to have. And I don't mean just alcohol. I mean, it could be everything. It could be work, even. It could be escaping in work, escaping in sex, escaping in drugs, escaping in gaming, whatever it is. But doing it in healthy ways, which is the positive side of Neptune, is creativity. And so I think he's quite, I would be very surprised if he would say, for instance, I'm not inspired at all. I think it's a great time if you're having, and now this is the transits that I'm saying, the transits is how are the planets now today, the forecast. He's got a lot of Neptune transit going on here. And that's the positive side of the Neptune transit. It's escaping in a magical form. So it shows that you want to escape in a magical way, that you want to, you know, the dullness and the ordinary thing of life, you want to escape that, but do it in a healthy way, like with art, or with another person could do it with writing, with making a nice piece of music or whatever. He does it. So there you have the answer of why is he doing this on stage, because he wants to break boundaries. Can I do this? Can I, with my anxiety, can I do this? And you know, this is like the energy of parallel universes. You want to try them all, and it's highly idealistic. This is really a philanthropic personality as well, by the way, with all this Sagittarian kind of energy. Now, another person who has this, who is also well known, is a Dutch ex-football player, Jan Mulder. I think in the same signs, he has Mars with Neptune and Mars with Saturn. And that it's the same energy. It's someone who can be very strategic, who can be overly focusing, which is Mars Saturn, who can go over the top, of wanting to take the control and not wanting to lose the control. I mean, in his he's a speaker as well when it goes about football, and then he has all his strategies, and it's amazing how he does it. But then at the field, he uses his Neptunian energy, which is his feelings, which is his intuition. I mean, you know, a footballer who has Mars Saturn can be very good at training, discipline, commitment, 100%, but then all of that training, he lets go of that when he's at the football field and playing, then he is in the zone. That's a Mars-Neptune thing. So it's quite interesting that this person has both, you know, he can be in the zone, and that's probably when he is on stage or doing something live, you know, when you're doing radio, that's also live. That's the Mars-Neptune thing. But Mars-Saturn is also this fear of it must be correct, it must be, things may not be wrong. He has his North Node in Virgo, so he's here to gain that perfection and to do things in a correct way as well. So last but not least, I want to have a very tiny little prediction. I already, mostly I go way deeper into this, but I just want to give you a taster here. I already said it, you know, the Neptunian energy that he's having, which is quite you can have good energy, I mean flowing energy, and you can have energy that you really have to work hard. He's got it in the hard way. The Neptune squares up to his Mercury, it probably squares up to his Moon as well. So that's very misty, very you know, the best thing to do is to slow down and to not make don't jump the conclusions too quickly when you have a energy like that. That is what an astrologer would advise. Just do all the different possibilities, and after that transit is gone, you will have the clarity, which is only next year. So that's one thing. Another thing that is upcoming for him is Uranus. The Uranus is now opposite his in Scorpio. Uranus is in Taurus, and that is going to oppose his Venus next year. That's once in a lifetime transit. So again, we don't know his context. We don't even know what Venus represents in his chart. But what you can say is that when it comes to relationships, when it comes to values, what you think is valuable, his attitude towards that is about to change in a drastic 180 degrees way. For instance, that's Uranus. For instance, let's say he has a very, I don't know about his relationships, but let's say he has a very steady, strong commitment going on with not too many problems. That could mean that this changes. There's something that happens and there is a bit of chaos in the relationship. Doesn't have to be wrong at all or bad or whatever, but there is a bit of excitement going on there. There's more excitement in a relationship for sure. If he would have a very up and down relationship, it could be possible that he has, not the easiest relationship with lots of ups and downs and lots of instability. Then Uranus would mean, again, what Uranus does is turning around 180 degrees. That could mean for him that he has a stability now in his relationship. So all depends on your context, of course. But the energy is changing something 180 degrees and adapting as good as you can, and your value system is highlighted here. And Uranus will also oppose his Sun, but that's not for now. That's for within a couple of years. So there's still some huge changes for him to come. Also on career-wise, I think he's going to be more and more that outsider, that he does different things, and people say, I think he's going to be like that more in the future and seeing more of that. So this is it. I'm going to stop here. I hope this was helpful. Now you see how I kind of delve into an astrology chart. If you want to read and get in touch, if you have questions, just let me know. Have a very good day, evening, night, whatever. And thank you for watching. Bye-bye.